Okay, so let's see how actually this our demo for hashing works. I already have one of the files created, but I'm gonna delete it and just create a new class called hashing demo or anything. Create a new main method over here, and what's wrong? Okay, okay. So now what we need to do is we'll have one of our inputs right here. Create a input. Step. Make it final two. Okay. Oops, sorry. So now we have one of our input and we want to hash it using one of our hashing algorithms called SHA1, as we have talked about in previous tutorials. So in this demo, what we need one of the jars called Apache codec jar. So let's go and import that. So I already have it in my desktop. You can just go and check it out. So this location. So this is the Apache common codec jar. I think the current version is 1.2 or something, but it's good to go. It's not a problem. Uh, what we are gonna use here is we're gonna start with the basic Java security framework here. We kind of don't need the third party, but I've just added it to show you something else also. So what we need right now is we need something called message digest here, which is there in Java security. We'll have a message digest, and we'll get an instance of this by get instance. Now in this parameter, what we need is we need to define the kind of algorithm we are going to use for hashing. So we have talked about in previous tutorials how hashing and digest are some interrelated terms. So hash code is nothing but a digest itself. That is why we are using this terminology called message and digest. This is what will be used to hash our input. This is like message hashing of a message. So we need to define what kind of algorithm we are going to use here. So it's kind of weird that there's no enum or constants or already defined in a message digest class or here for the algorithm, because we need to manually type it here like this. This can be pretty error prone, so it will throw you an exception. Better keep it in a try catch block. If if the algorithm which you are mentioning right over here is not one, it's not one which is found in the standards, it will throw no such algorithm exception. So let's go ahead and just make a constant of it right over here. We call it SHA1. So always be careful in giving the name of the algorithm here. So we'll give the algorithm name, and that is it. Now our message digest knows what kind of algorithm we are going to use, or we are going to need to hash our input. Now the message digest is created, we will pass in the input here. So for that we will use a method called update, and as you can see it is using a byte array and not just a string. So we will have to do input dot get bytes here, and we have seen that it's always good to pass in the kind of encoding we are using, and we are going to use a UTF-8 here. So again it'll throw an exception. Just add a catch block around here, so that if the encoding algorithm is not found, it will throw this exception. Now what we're going to do is that we have a message digest, we have the input in the message digest. Now we are going to digest it, or in other terminology we're going to hash it. So they are interchangeable, so that's okay. Message digest dot digest, there we go. And as you can see here, this is returning a byte array. So let's create one output byte array, there we go. So this is our final hashed data. But this is, if you just print it out here, you see you cannot print out string just like this. You will have to use string. Okay, let's run this and see what happens. mm, oh sorry, this was I was talking about. There should be some kind of enums right over here. That's okay. So yeah, so this is what we got actually from digesting our input, but this is of course not human readable form, this hashed. So that is the reason being, this is not in properly formatted form. So for that actually we need to do something uh, called hexing. So we'll use one of the Apache codec libraries function called hex dot code hex byte. Yeah, so let's pass in our output byte in here and see what it is returning. So it is returning a character. Let's create one. This is gonna be your proper output. Now just back print it and see what happens. So this is our hashed data, hashed value. So as you've seen, we are using SHA1, and I think we have already talked about the fact that in these kind of algorithms, there are certain number of bits already designed or designated, for the output. So we have a arbitrary number of input, and we will get a designated fixed length output. So this is our hashed value of for the input. So this is this is how we are using the Java security API. So what I'm gonna do right now is just scrap all this and make it very simple. Instead of doing all these things, we can actually do something help of this Apache codec method called digest tutors. So we are going to use this, and we will do SHA1. Okay, I think I made a mistake, and I'm using the older version of this codec API. I'm just gonna use the latest version here, 1.3, 1.5. Okay, let's use the latest one, I guess. Okay, I think previously I started the latest one is 1.2, but sorry about that. I think this a bit outdated, I guess. Okay, so no problem. We'll download this one right over here. We'll extract it. There we go. Just copy the location and add it into our build path. Move this one for a while. We don't need this. Add external jars. Copy the path, and there we go. Once it's in, we'll see a new method called SHA1. Yeah, this one. So now we have a method called SHA1 hex. So remember what we did. We in the previous methodology, we had created an SHA1 output, and then we hexed it afterwards. So hexing is really very important. So this function, it really does it all for you. Don't have to follow all this complex process. You do SHA1 hex and pass in the byte array for input string. Good. And if you just run this out, okay, sorry, we have to take an output. This is returning string. Just this over here and run this. This is the exact same output which you got from previous methodology. Just if you don't believe this one also. So this is the one. Let's copy it somewhere and see if it's the same or not, and run this one. So as you can see, both of these outputs are totally same. So I think it is really easy to just use this method. Just the one line and passing the inputs, and you'll get the hashed output instead of just going through all the message digest and updating the input values. So this is all about hashing and how can we get the hashed value from our input.